Hello everyone, Mizram here. Today's video is going to be about the early game items and the laning phase items. So what are those items? I would describe them as items that are very cost efficient, that either helps you win your lane or at least survive on your lane, and that you might replace later on by more expensive items to free up the slot. So let's start with the stat items. You remember in my last video, I said that every little point in stats will help you get an edge over your opponent on the lane. Those are basically the upgraded version. They all share the same pattern, that means +3 to all stats, +3 damage, and an extra +3 to the stat which they are made from. For example, the wristband is made out of the slipper of agility, and that means that it will give an extra +3 agility. Well, you might also notice that while they have the same pattern, they do not share the same price. That is because agility in the early game is considered less important than strength. Why is that? You remember that in Dota 2, the spells damage have no scaling. There's no AP, there's no AD that help you increase your spell damage. That means the base spell damage is actually very high. And that also means that you will very likely get burst down early game by spells. Which is why strength is considered very important, because you need every little health you can get to increase your health pool and avoid dying to one combo. Agility, on the other hand, what does it give you? It gives you extra attack speed, it gives you a little bit of armor, and also, if you're an agility hero, it gives you more damage. So it's not that useful compared to, for example, the Bracer, but still, if you're farming very badly on an agility hero, on a carry, for example, and you keep getting shut down, you cannot get past for 500 gold because you keep on dying, Wraithband is a good way to pick yourself up. It gives you a bit of HP, a bit of damage, everything you need. No Talisman is also more expensive than the Wraithband because, as I told you, having more intelligence will give you a larger mana pool, and that can make the difference between having one spell ready or not. Now the Magic Wand. What is the Magic Wand? You remember the Magic Stick? It's basically an item that gains charge whenever an enemy casts spells around you, and when you use it, depending on the number of charge you have, you will heal more or less mana and health. The Magic Wand is an upgrade. It takes 3 branch plus 1 magic stick and 1 recipe, and basically combine all those 4 items into one slot. It also increased the number of maximum charge to 15 instead of 10. This item is actually very, very good and can be used on approximately any hero. This is because having a little burst heal and mana regen, refill is actually very, very good for mind games. Because imagine you're on the lane and you have a stun that costs, let's say, 140 mana. Now you only have 80 mana, so the opponent sees this and he's quite confident. He's knowing that you do not have enough mana to stun him, so he might play a bit more aggressive. Now, if you have enough charge, you use the magic stick, instantly gain more than 150 mana in total in your mana pool, and thus you can stun him. For example, he might be farming under your tower because he knows you might not be able to stun him. Prove him wrong. It can also be useful for saving yourself if you're getting chased and you have, for example, 10 HP left and the enemy hero throw one last attack. While the projectile is in the air, you can actually use the magic stick and heal up enough to maybe escape with your life. So Wraithband, No Talisman, Bracers, all very good, early game items. You might not want to buy too many of those because it delays your more important items. But having 1 or 2 is never bad. So if you're not doing good, or if you just do not know what to do because you do not have much farm, buying one of these is actually very good. Now I'm going to talk about the upgrade for the Stout Shield. You might remember the Stout Shield. It's an item I said that you usually use either for jungling or for staying on the lane when you're a melee hero against a range hero and you know you're going to take pretty much a good amount of harass. Now there's one little upgrade here that doesn't cost so much, and it's 550. It's called Poor Man's Shield, and what this does basically, it gives +6 agility from those 2 little slippers, and it increased the block chance from heroes to 100%. Now you only have 60% chance still from creeps, So that means if you're jungling, this does not help you. But on the lane, it effectively cuts down 20 damage from the enemy hero every time he attacks, because it will have a 100% chance of blocking enemy hero damage. Very good if you're under good pressure. And plus, the bonus is that you can buy all of those items from this shop. So you do not have to use a courier or go back to the fountain to actually buy it. If you remember very quickly when I went over those items, they need recipe. The recipe can only be bought here. The only place which sells recipe is this place. So any item that has recipe, you have to use the courier to get them. The other upgrade of the Southman Shield is the Vanguard. The Vanguard can be bought from there. You have the Ring of Health, and here you have the Ring of Health and the Vitality Booster. Vitality Booster is actually needed, so you actually need to go there to at least complete your Vanguard. What is Vanguard? Vanguard is a big upgrade for the Stout Shield. It increased the block chance to 70% chance. It increased the block damage by twofold, so it's 40 damage melee block or 20 range block. That means if you're a range hero, you might block 20 damage, and if you're a melee hero, you'll block 40. And it also increased your health pool by 250 and increased your health regeneration by 6. So this is a very good item for any melee hero that know that they're going to be in the middle of the fight, that they're going to take a lot of damage. And it's also good for example, carries that are actually getting shut down and they know they need health. So instead of going for a damage item, you're actually having trouble farming up because you're getting ganked and everything, try to get a Vanguard. It will allow you to die less often and thus be able to farm better. So those are the two upgrades for the South Shield. Now let's talk about the upgrades for boots. Remember last time I told you, do not ever buy boots as a first item. Of course, you still need boots early on because it's a very good item to chase, to run away, to position yourself. So sometimes you might see people running out with like boots of speed only and buy other items, for example Wraith Band or Note Housemate, instead of upgrading boots as fast as possible. This is because boots in Dota are usually pretty expensive. For example, in League of Legends, if you want to upgrade your boots to Boots of Sorcery, it's I think 750, something like this. Here, if you want to upgrade your Boots of Speed to one of those, you see that it's like this one costs 900 more, 1000 more, 950, and this one is less expensive, it's 500 more. I will only talk about 4 of the 5 different upgrades because the Boost of Travel is something very expensive and it's very rarely used early on. There's only one hero that really needs this item is named Tinker, so I'll not talk about the Boots of Travel here. So let's first go with the cheapest one, the Tranquil Boots. The Tranquil Boots is actually very rarely seen in pubs. This is because it's quite new and people haven't really figured out how to use it properly yet. It's the boot between those 4 boots that I'm going to present that give the most movement speed as a passive. It gives plus 80. It gives also plus 3 armor, plus 3 HP regeneration. It's very cheap. The thing is, it's somewhat like a mobility boots. That means that if you're getting attacked, if you take more than 4 times some damage in under 10 seconds, you will break these boots, and the boots will actually become a normal, regular boots. So that means only 55 movement speed and no HP or armor buff for 10 seconds. And then it will be going back to Tranquil Boots. It's also very good to heal up because it has an active that every 40 seconds you can use for only 25 mana. It gives you 170 health over 10 seconds. So it's actually quite good if you just want to, for example, farm up and you're not taking too much harass, but still you're taking a bit. So you're staying on a lane, you do not need to buy many tangos that will, cost money. Instead, you're healing up every time you can and just keep farming safely. So quite a good item. You can always, disassemble it later and, just sell the Ring of Protection and the Ring of Regen and keep the Boots of Speed and actually upgrade the Boots of Speed to something else. Now, let's go up to the Arcane Boots. Arcane Boots is actually a very good item that is often seen on either mana-hungry heroes or just support heroes that want to support the team. What this does, basically, it's a boot, the only boot you cannot buy from the shop here. you actually have to go to the secret shop to buy the energy booster or the side lane shop. The Arcane Boots is actually a boot that gives you 250 more mana pool, and also every 45 seconds, you can restore 135 mana to everyone around you, including yourself. That means, for example, if you have a dual nuker lane here, if both of you have Arcane Boots, you're going to really rain down destruction upon your enemies, and they will have a very hard time staying on the lane because healing costs gold, usually, as you remember, the tangos, the healing salve, everything. And if you actually pressure them very much, they will have a hard time staying on the lane. Or at least even if they stay on the lane, they will have a hard time, not spending all their gold into consumables. So Arcane Boots, very often seen, very good item. Now, Power Treads. Power Treads are also a very common items. It is also a very common item. This is because it actually gives a lot of benefits. It gives almost everything you would ever want. It gives move speed, attack speed, and also an extra +8 attribute to whatever you want. So, for example, if I click on it, here I'm in strength. I click on it, it goes to intelligence. I click on it, it goes to agility, etc. This means that basically you can always change it to the situation. If you're an agility hero and you're farming, you're safe, you know that you're not getting ganked anytime soon, you can keep it to agility. That means that you have more damage and attack damage and you can farm easier. If you're an intelligence hero and you need the mana for damage and for spells, you can keep it to intelligence. And usually, if you do not know what's going to happen, or if you know you're going to fight, you want to keep it in strength mode. Because it actually, if you see, my health pool is 500, and if I activate it to strength, I actually go to 660. So that means 150 more health pool. Which is very often very useful in team fights because you will take AoE from left to the right and also get nuked or attacked. So this will actually help you staying alive. So the rule of thumb is if you do not know what's going to happen, keep it in strength. It can never go wrong if you keep it in strength mode. Right? This is the third boot type, and the fourth boot type is going to be the phase boots. The phase boots is an item you can actually use every 8 seconds as an activable, and the effect is you will actually gain an extra move speed and you will be able to go through any unit. This is very important because in Dota you're getting blocked by units, unlike in League of Legends. League of Legends, usually if you can go through creeps, or it can block you but very little. And here in Dota you can actually be blocked. For example, if you're hiding here and a creep comes in to attack you, you're actually stuck in the trees with him because you cannot go through the creep. This allows you to go through the creep and also through other units. That means it's very good for chasing, it's very good for running away. And it's an item that is very, very common on gankers because the extra move speed allows you to catch your targets, to initiate, and also it gives 24 bonus damage, which is something very, very powerful early game. See, here my base damage is like 50. Having 24 bonus damage is like increasing my attack damage by 50%. It's actually quite a lot. So phase boots, very good for ganking, very good for people who need movement speed for positioning, and very good for people who need the attack damage. So that's it for boots. Yeah, also you cannot stack boots like in League of Legends. Having 2 sets of boots do not make you go twice as fast. Alright, so, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, the boots, most of the boots can be bought from here. The Arcane Boots can be bought from here. The Power Tread can be bought from here. The Phase Boots can be bought from here. So this is very good, meaning you do not have to use the courier to make you bring yourself some boots. And the only boot that you cannot make here is the Boots of Travel and the other Tranquil Boots. Right, so let's go on to the next items. There's an item that very often you'll see on carry heroes. It's the Perseverance. Perseverance actually needs a Ring of Health, which gives +5 HP per second. This is why you will often see, some carries rushing it. They will, somewhat like your middle hero will rush the bottle, like, take some last sets, get to 600 gold, buy a bottle, ferry it with the courier. carry heroes will often farm up the creeps here, and as soon as they can buy the Ring of Health, they will buy it here. This is because it allows you to stay on the lane without using too much gold into consumables. And adding a Void Stone with it will actually make the Perseverance, which gives 10 damage, 5 HP regeneration, and 125% mana regeneration, which is quite good for staying on the lane. Now, it's also very dangerous because you're investing more than 1,500 gold into something that gives you no stat whatsoever. This means you're very vulnerable to ganks. As I told you, you do not have a high HP pool usually, even less if you're a carry hero. And knowing that you have Perseverance, that means you have not invested this gold into stat, and you can easily get comboed down. It's very commonly seen because it can make 2 items that are very appreciated by carry heroes, Lincoln Sphere and Battle Fury, which I will explain in another video. The Soul Ring now. The Soul Ring is a very peculiar item. It's something that actually gives you as a passive bonus HP regeneration and mana regeneration, and as an active it takes 150 health away from you and gives you 150 mana. This is temporary mana, so that means it's a buffer mana that after 10 seconds pass it will be lost. For example, let me show you. So here I actually spent 100 mana. If I actually use the Soul Ring, I gain 150 mana. It actually goes over my basic mana pool. I went from 270 approximately to 330. Now, when the buff runs out, I go back to 180. This is because I didn't use mana while the Soul Ring was active. And the mana is lost. You also notice that the health does not go back after 10 seconds. While the mana is lost, the health does not, is not given back to you. Now, imagine I use the Soul Ring, so you see I have 200 mana. Now I cast my spell that only costs 100 mana, so I'm 250 over 350, and the buff is going to run out. I'm going to go back to 200, see 212 approximately. That means that basically when I use it, I have 150 free mana. I used 100 of it, so that means that I still have 50 free mana. And when the time is going to run out, it only is going to take away 50 mana. This item also works when you're full mana. Here you see I have 270, I use it, I go up to 423. So that means you can actually temporarily increase your mana pool. Whenever you have the Soul Ring, do not hesitate to use it before casting your spells, because it's not a way to regenerate your mana. It's a way to use your spell without using your actual mana. This item can be used on usually heroes that have regeneration abilities, or that can soak up the damage and that needs the mana. Usually it's good on, for example, strength hero that have a very low mana pool. So that means that the percent mana regeneration will be very good because they have low intelligence. And having more percentage of mana regeneration will actually not be as useful as on an intelligent hero. So what you want to do is get, for example, Soul Ring and use your health to convert into mana to actually punish the enemies with spells. Now be careful, because consuming 150 health, even if you're going to heal up with the 3 HP regen per second, is actually very dangerous. If you actually use it at the wrong time and you get stunned, that's 150 health you do not have for tanking up the coming onslaught. Now I'm going to talk also about the Hand of Midas. The Hand of Midas is an item that, like the Perseverance, is very dangerous to make because it does not give you anything else than attack speed. Think of it as a gold per 5 item. It's an item that earlier you get, the better it is. The active is every 100 seconds you can use it on a creep. It gives you instantly 190 gold and 2.5 times the experience of the creep in question. This is a very, very good item if you can rush it. That means that you can farm it very quickly, you can level up very quickly. Usually you will buy this on jungle heroes, because in pub games, people do not usually go get jungle heroes. It's too annoying for them and they just prefer staying on lane farming. So if you're safe, if you know you're safe, and if you know you're going to play careful for the next 10 minutes, getting a Hand of Midas might not be a bad choice. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind. As I said, the Hand of Midas does not give you any stats except attack speed. That means if you invest almost 2,000 gold into a Hand of Midas, you have to be very careful about how you play in the next coming minutes. because you won't be able to survive as much as if you had spent 1,900 gold into stat items. Also, Hand of Midas, you have to notice that you want to rush it if you actually want it. If you cannot get it under 10 minutes, it's very likely that you do not need it for the game at all, because it's too dangerous after the 10 minutes and does not pay off so much. Alright, let's go to the support items. Support items, I already talked about the Ring of Basilius briefly in my jungle video. Gives damage, gives armor, gives bonus mana regen, and bonus armor. Now, you can turn it on and off. This is on, this is off. Whenever you're on the lane with the Ring of Basilius, you want to turn it off. This is because if you turn it on, if you let it on, the creeps will actually gain +2 armor, and that makes your creep more powerful than the enemy creeps, making them killing the creeps faster than the other side, and thus you're pushing the lane to their side, making yourself more vulnerable to ganks. That is why turn it off. You will still gain the benefit of the aura. When it's off, the aura only affects you and your ally heroes. So it's always useful for you and your ally heroes, just not on the creep. Turn it on when you want to push. Those two items are not bought per se for themselves. You do not buy a headdress just for having a headdress. You will buy it for having a mechanism or a pipe of insight, which I will explain in a later video. Urn of Shadow is actually a very good item. It's an item that gives you approximately everything you would need in early game, +6 strength, so more HP, +50% mana regeneration, which is always good, and every time an enemy die within 1,400 units AoE of you, you will gain a charge. If you have 0 charge, you will gain 2 charge, but after this it's only 1 charge. For example, it goes 0, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the active ability is almost like an improved healing salve. It heals 400 health over 8 seconds instead of 10 seconds, and it gets dispelled if you get hit by a tower or a hero. No, remember that salve also gets cancelled if you get hit by a creep or any kind of damage. This is not the case of Urn of Shadow, so you can actually tank creeps up and still heal yourself. Also, you can use it on yourself or allies, so it's very good after, for example, ganks. You're ganking someone, you killed someone, but you took some damage during the gank, so you can heal up and go back to whatever you were doing instead of having to run back to your base to heal up. You can also use it on enemy heroes, and it will deal 150 damage over 8 seconds to them. It has actually quite a big range, so it's quite good for snacking up those enemy heroes that are running away with 50 health that you cannot catch up. Use the Urn of Shadow, click on them, and usually the range is enough to get them and they will die. Always good to have at least 1 Urn of Shadow per team. 2 Urn of Shadow maximum. Having more than this is not useful, because if you have an ally here that also have Urn of Shadow, if an enemy die, it's only the closest guy who has Urn of Shadow who will gain charge. The other won't gain anything. So 1 or 2 maximum. Ring of Aquilia. Ring of Aquilia is an upgrade from the Wraithband, the stat item that I talked about. And it's also an item from the Ring of Basilius. So Ring of Basilius plus Wraithband will make the Ring of Aquilia. It basically does not give anything else than combining those two items that are very useful for any agility hero. It gives damage, it gives attributes, it gives bonus armor, and it gives mana regen. Everything you would ever want. Like the Ring of Basilius, you can turn it on and off. So this is never a bad item for any agility hero. By all means, if no one has it, you can always go for it. It's a bit expensive, it's like an early investment. It will delay your very big items, so if you're farming very well and you do not see the need of having a Ring of Aquilia, you do not have to pick it up. It's just, a very good item all around, but it's not needed. Medallion of Courage is something you will very rarely see in pubs. This is because pubs do not know how to use it well, and because it's a team-oriented item. And, pubs game, usually people tend to just look for themselves. So they will buy whatever item boosts their own stat the most. And Medallion of Courage gives you +6 armor, which is not to scoff at, because armor is actually very powerful, especially early game. Because the less armor you have, the more bonus armor you have will I mean the less armor you have, the more point in armor you will benefit. Okay, it doesn't mean anything, sorry. Let's just skip that. Basically what this item does is every 7 seconds you can use it on whatever you want, an enemy creep, an enemy hero. It will reduce your armor by 6 and the enemy armor by 6. So it's a dangerous armor. It's a dangerous item to use, but it's actually very good for farming up the jungle faster, for example, or also to be in ganks to take down heroes faster. It's actually very good because armor reduction benefits every hero that actually attack the enemy hero, not only yourself. Alright, so those one I won't say it's very early game items, so I won't talk about it. And I think it's almost pretty much it, because all the other items are usually more mid-game oriented, or at least more useful in ganks than in lanes. One last item maybe that I might talk about is the Helm of Dominator. The fact that it becomes somewhat of a lane item is because you can buy it directly from here, both the items that make it. It does not need a recipe. And it gives plus 20 damage, plus 5 armor, and 15% lifesteal, so everything you need to just stay on the lane and farm. Plus you have a little active that allows you every 300 seconds to control a creep. So in the jungle, for example, take a big creep and you can go farm up in the jungle without you actually having to tank up the damage. Alright, so I think this is pretty much it for the early game items and laning phase items. Of course, it's very subjective, so some people might disagree with me and say that Drum of Odyrus or Vladimir Offering is an early game item. I will still cover every item on my videos, so even if I'm not talking it in the right section for you, I'll still talk about it, so don't worry about that. So as usual, thank you for watching, and don't hesitate to comment and give any critic or request in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys next time with the next video, which is going to be more about the core items and the mid-game items. Thank you for watching. See you guys.